She was the last person anyone expected to sit in seat 1A, not because she didn't belong, but because they couldn't believe a black woman could be the boss. When the flight crew asked her to move to the back, they had no idea who they were dealing with. But within 5 minutes, that plane's entire future changed. Before we continue, hit that subscribe button, turn on your notification bell to get notified for more, share to friends. Where are you watching from? Please tell us in the comments. We love seeing how far our story goes. Camille Rhodes walked through Terminal 5 with a purposeful stride, her Louis Vuitton carry-on wheeling behind her like an obedient shadow. She was dressed smartly, in tailored charcoal gray pants, a silk blouse, and her signature navy blue heels. Nothing flashy, just polished, like she always was. She'd spent the morning in a conference with global investors and was now flying from New York to San Francisco for a meeting that could finalize her tech company's biggest merger yet. To say she had a lot on her plate would be an understatement, but Camille was used to high stakes. What she wasn't used to was what happened next. At the gate, she greeted the attendant with a smile and handed over her boarding pass. The woman barely glanced up. Boarding group 1 doesn't begin for another few minutes. Ma'am, please wait back there. Camille raised an eyebrow. I am boarding group 1, she replied calmly. The attendant scanned the pass again. Her face shifted. Oh, okay. Sorry about that. Go ahead. Camille didn't respond. She'd seen that look before. That moment of confusion when her credentials didn't match what someone expected. Her skin always got scanned before her barcode. She entered the plane, found her seat, 1A, first-class window, and settled in. Her assistant had booked it as usual. Priority check-in, lie-flat seat, and a glass of water with lemon. This was routine. Until it wasn't. 10 minutes later, as passengers continued filing in, a white man in a navy suit hovered beside her. I think you're in my seat, he said curtly, holding out his boarding pass. Camille tilted her head. No, this is seat 1A. That's what my ticket says. He gestured toward a nearby flight attendant, a young blonde woman who had been greeting passengers. Excuse me, he said to her. There seems to be a mix-up. The attendant turned toward Camille, glanced at her like she was a misplaced suitcase, and said, Ma'am, would you mind showing me your boarding pass? Camille handed it over. The attendant looked at it, blinked, then frowned. There must be a mistake in the system, she said. Sir, your seat is 1A. Ma'am, I believe we'll have to move you. Camille was stunned. No, you won't. The attendant stiffened. We're trying to resolve this politely, but we need you to cooperate so we can avoid holding up the flight. Camille took a breath. Let me make this clear. My seat was confirmed and purchased days ago. I fly with this airline all the time. If there's been an error, it's not mine. I'm not moving. The man scoffed. Are you serious right now? The attendant leaned down, lowering her voice like she was speaking to a disruptive child. Ma'am, this is first class. Please don't make this more difficult than it needs to be. Camille's tone turned icy. I am the CEO of Morotech Global. I've paid for the seat. If there's an issue, speak to your supervisor. Just then, another crew member approached. This one older, a stern-faced woman in her 50s who looked like she'd seen every corner of the sky. What's the problem here? She asked. The younger attendant whispered to her, gesturing in Camille's direction. The supervisor glanced down, then up at Camille. We've spoken to the gate, she said. It appears there was an overbooking. We'll need you to move to business class. Because I'm the only black woman in first class? Camille shot back. The supervisor straightened. That has nothing to do with it. It has everything to do with it, Camille replied. You didn't ask anyone else to move. Just me? The cabin had gone quiet. Other first-class passengers were listening. A few looked uncomfortable. Most looked away. Camille reached into her bag and pulled out her phone. I suggest you call your supervisor, she said, because I'm about to make a call that'll affect every name on your payroll. There was a pause, and then she made the call. It rang twice before a calm, clipped voice answered. Brandon Lee. Brandon, it's Camille. I'm on flight 782 to San Francisco. Your crew just tried to remove me from my seat in first class because a white male passenger decided he belonged here more than I did. Silence. Then, understood. Please stay seated. Camille hung up. The entire crew had gone pale. The passengers around her shifted uncomfortably, pretending not to hear, but they heard everything. 5 minutes later, just as boarding completed, the intercom crackled. Ladies and gentlemen, this is your captain speaking. We're experiencing a brief delay. We ask for your patience as we resolve a staffing issue. A staffing issue? The younger flight attendant was the first to be called to the front, then the senior supervisor, then the captain. 15 minutes later, a new flight crew began replacing them, one by one. Passengers whispered. The man who claimed Camille's seat shifted away quietly, now sitting somewhere in the back. No eye contact. No apology. The new attendant approached Camille. Ma'am, can I get you anything to drink while we finalize takeoff? Camille nodded. Water with lemon, please. By the time they landed in San Francisco, the story had already gone viral. Someone in first class had recorded the confrontation. It spread like wildfire. Hashtag Seat 1A trending within hours. Commentators lit up the news cycle. How do you not recognize the CEO? One anchor asked. Simple, another replied. You don't expect her to look like that. The airline issued an official apology, but that wasn't enough. By week's end, the entire crew from that flight had been terminated, the captain included. Morotech quietly released a statement. We are committed to dignity, equity, and zero tolerance for discrimination. These values don't stop at the boardroom. They follow us onto every flight, every meeting, every space we enter. Camille didn't relish in their downfall. She never did, but she also didn't stay quiet. The following week, she was invited to speak at a global leadership summit. Her speech, When you assume power doesn't wear my skin. Camille stood on stage, dressed again in navy blue heels and grace. I didn't grow up in boardrooms. I grew up in foster homes, in neighborhoods where we borrowed more than we owned. But I worked, I studied, I sacrificed. I didn't come this far, be told, on a random Tuesday at 35,000 feet, that I don't belong. If we keep rewarding ignorance with silence, it will never stop. She paused. I didn't demand their jobs. I demanded respect. What happened after? That was their own doing. The applause was thunderous. Moral of the story: bias doesn't always scream. Sometimes it whispers in customer service smiles and routine policy. It doesn't matter how rich you are, how educated, or how powerful. If your skin tells a different story than they expect, they'll try to rewrite yours. But when you hold your ground with calm, with truth, with action, you don't just defend your seat. You protect the next person's right to be seen, to belong.